have basically a long run as far as if you look into gang culture, because normally once you go to juvenile hall, then you end up going to youth authority, what they call YA, then you end up going to prison. So it's like a little, basically like school for the normal person, junior high, high school, college. But in ghetto terms, it's just, it goes like that. So with me, what the difference was I would always get away. You would have certain homies that go to jail, and then other homies would be getting out, because you'll see the little cycle. And then when they get out, they done heard about me, I heard about them, we kicking it, we doing dirt, and they end up going to jail. And right around that time, the other circle's coming out. So during this time period, I'm out, and I'm meeting all these dudes, and I'm doing different things, learn things from them, and just getting more of a reputation, getting better at my craft, so to say. I actually went to go take the test for the Navy, because I knew, like, dude, if I stay out here in these streets, I'm gonna get killed, or I'm gonna kill somebody. I knew it. Because, you hear about the military, and you always hear, yeah, you go to the military, and people respect you. So I was like, cool, I'll go to the military, I'll get that little respect, and it'll be cool, and I'll get some discipline. Couldn't pass the test. Couldn't pass the algebra, because basically I didn't pay attention to it in school. They taught me real fast in the little office to try to, get me to pass. And it kind of made me feel a certain type of way. It wasn't a good way. It was like, wow, here it is, I want to change, but because of my lack of education, I can't. And it's my fault, because I wasn't paying attention, and I just basically passed through school, and they just passed me through. So that was a hard reality for me there. It was like, damn, man, I can't even escape. I want to, and I can't. So it was like at that point right there, I made up in my mind, like, dude, I'm going full-fledged banging. All right, so I get to the county, and I'm in there for 3 attempted murders at the time, and gang allegations. They got all these charges piled up against me. Long story short, I took a deal. They planted some evidence on me, so it ended up coming out during pre-trial, and they gave me a deal for 7 years with 85%. So get to Sentinel State Prison, and I'm like, all right, cool. You've made it. That's what I'm telling myself. Like, you made it. You got what you was looking for. You made it. So it's like, I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm kind of like, all right, I'm here now. Let me see what it's all about. So get there, and they put me in a cell with this dude from a different gang that I actually beat up on the street. And so, but at the time, it's like, they put us in the INS building, which is all the people who get deported. So it's nothing but Hispanics in the building. Like, we the only 2 blacks. So I'm kind of like, all right, dude. Like, I could trip on this dude, but I'm like looking at the numbers, and I'm like, probably it's best to use common sense on this one. So, we kind of call the truce. And it's crazy because I ingrained that gang mentality into myself so much that, like, every day I want to do something to this dude. It was hard for me. And he was a cool dude. His name was Baby Head, and he was a cool dude. But it was just something in me. Like, I was just like, nah, dude, I can't do this. But we ended up going to different cells. Now I ended up going to the main line, and I ended up being in the cell with my homie Shadow. He was cool. First night I was in there, we ended up drinking some Pruno, getting drunk, chilling. And basically I hit the yard the next day, kind of started assessing everything, and I was like, I can run this. I knew it. Like, just looking around, like, all right, I can do this. And that, at the time, they were still selling tobacco, so they had a bugler, so I got me some cigarettes and walking the yard, drinking my coffee, doing what most dudes do in there, just kind of looking, surveying everything. So the first job they give me is in the kitchen. So it was me, a couple older black guys, and you got the Hispanics, and you got the whites, and then that's when you start seeing how the segregation all works. So it was this guy named Sifu. This is a black dude that knew karate, but he was kind of crazy a little bit. So long story short, he was stealing from the Hispanics in the kitchen. So I was cool with the Hispanics, so they kind of told me, like, hey, man, holler at your people, or we gonna holler at them. So I'm like, all right, cool, holler at him. He ends up doing it again. Now I'm off. The guys that work in the kitchen come by my cell and tell me, Trey Devil, man, he did it again, man. We're gonna have to handle it. So I'm like, all right, cool, man. I come in tomorrow. We gonna get this fool. So we get him in there, and we playing dominoes at the table, end up beating him up, stomping him out, and like his ear almost come off. So he takes off running, and we go back to playing dominoes, acting like nothing happened, and he points us all out. And they arrest us, charge us, and they were actually filing charges on us now for battery on an inmate with serious injury. And so the case ended up getting thrown out. They ended up giving us like suspended shoes and things like that, and they ended up kicking me out to another yard. And now I'm feeling myself because I'm like, okay, you know, I see what it is. But when I get to this yard, it's homies over there that I actually know from the streets. And so that was cool. So they kind of telling me what's going on, whatever was going on. And ended up getting into a couple fights over there, beating a couple dudes up. And, you know, dudes kind of starting to see like, oh, this dude, he's with this. Like, this little young dude with it. And so, but in prison, they don't want you having gang fights. Because it's like even though you guys are separated, the blacks, it's like, they want you not to like trip on each other because like, oh, it's the Mexicans, it's the whites, it's the others. We gotta kind of stick together, but really it's no real unity. And I was kind of like, nah, dude, like I'll do what I want to do. Like I'm from Hoover, like we do what we want to do. I don't have to listen to that. I wouldn't listen to it on the street. Why would I listen to it now? That didn't make sense to me. Like why would I come to prison to listen to rules? I wouldn't be in prison if I listened to rules. That didn't make sense to me. And I would tell them that, and they just be looking like, nah, dude. If dude come in here and he got Hoover whacked out, I'm going to attack him. And if a dude come in from Hoover and he's really not from Hoover, I'm going to attack him. And I didn't talk about it. I just did it. Got kicked off of D yard for fighting. Then they sent me to C yard. Was over there. So I hit every yard there. Now I started kind of like aligning myself with the Bloods because I like the way that they were pretty solid as far as the way they ran their program. And that's when I started kind of working out a lot. I stopped smoking, I stopped drinking. Then I ended up running into this guy named Cousin Kerry from 60s, which is one of my enemies, but he's an older dude. Every time he would see me, he was trying to speak to me. Like, hey, Trey Devil, check it out. Hey, Trey, check it out. And I'll be like, what's up, man? And he'd be like, hey, man, you seem sharp, dude. Nah, I got some books for you. You ever read black books? I'm like, nah, man, what's that? And he'd be like, man, come by, man. I'll give you some books. And I'm like, nah, dude, I'm cool. He's like, nah, brother, come by and get some books. He's real persistent. So I was like, all right, man, I'll read the books. So I remember I read the book, Black Man, Single, Obsolete, and Dangerous, took it upstairs, read it. I couldn't even sleep for like 2-3 days after I read it. Because everything it described in the book was me. And I was like, man, this is me. It was like hitting me like with some cold realities, you know, that I couldn't even deny. And I was like, man, dude, you know, I'm basically a leech on my own community and basically destroy my community into my own people. And it really hit me because I never read black literature. I never read stuff that said, man, black is beautiful and, you know, you can be this and you can be that and that you weren't just a slave. I never read that type of stuff. So it hit me real hard, like really hard. It hit me deep down deep to the point where I stopped smoking, drinking immediately and listening to rap music and just started just working out like religiously. And all I would do is just work out and read. And I was just devouring books, writing, and it's just something that came over me, this consciousness to where it was like immediate. This is wrong. This is not cool.